April the 3rd, 2025. Guys, you're looking at the National Weather Center map. And what we're dealing with, of course, is bad weather. It's moving through here. We have a tornado warning. I'm going to get to it in just a second. But guys, we're looking at generational flooding is what they're calling it. That includes the northern parts of our state here in Mississippi, Arkansas, parts of Texas, Oklahoma, right up the line. You can see it. They're talking about, again, once in a lifetime flooding will continue for several days. And what you've got here is flash flood warnings in the maroon, severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, and all of this flood warning area here. All the rivers are in that, and then the flash flood watch is much wider. But again, they're saying this could be a lifetime flooding event. Now, these tornadoes are fast moving. This one will expire in just a few minutes as far as the allotted time for the first warning. But that trail that we're seeing is going to continue, again, as the heat of the day gets hotter. It is 10:25. Then you're going to see this pick up. You got a lot of wind still coming out of the Gulf of America. The tornado warning for eastern Clinton County will expire at 10:30 a.m. Central. This is coming out of Louisville, Kentucky. The storm which prompted the warning has moved out of the area. Therefore, the warning will be allowed to expire. But you saw that path, and we'll go back and look at it on satellite images. And again, the tornado warning was for Wayne County and south central Kentucky, southwestern Pulaski County and south central Kentucky, north central McCreary County and south central Kentucky. Now, this is going to go on throughout the day. You got to 11:09 a.m. Eastern, which we're already at that point. These were moving through Albany, Byrdstown, etc., right through that area. Again, I'm just coming here because really to warn about the tornado. Again, this could be record-breaking flooding that we're seeing. And what have we seen for the last few years? Complete weather changes, records broken, both cold, hot, wet, dry, name it. Now, before I go to the satellite images, let's look at the headlines saying widespread damage. Dozens of tornadoes broke out in the central U.S. yesterday on Wednesday. In the evening, they tracked east overnight, ripping homes into unrecognizable shreds and tossing vehicles like toys. There's a lot of images coming out. Arkansas, Missouri, and Tennessee were particularly hard hit. Death toll climbs. At least 4 people were killed by the outbreak of tornadoes and severe storms, 3 in Tennessee, 1 in Missouri. The tornado threat is far from over. Storms have lost some of their punch this morning. They're picking it up, guys. This was a little earlier. Tennessee and Mississippi will face a renewed round of storms with potential tornadoes later today. Severe storms could impact the region through Saturday. It's just Thursday. Once in a lifetime flooding possible. Torrential rain is triggering flash flood warnings that won't stop for days. Nearly nonstop rain into the weekend could trigger generational flooding for Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and here in Mississippi. These are all the forecasters are warning this. So guys, if you're in the flood watch areas, you could see record-breaking flooding. I hope we don't see another Carolina flooding event situation happen with dams overflowing, things like that. It can get bad very quickly, guys. And we've been seeing some rain move through the area. Of course, it's springtime. We're going to see it. But what they're saying, generational flooding. Warnings going out. There's my huskies coming into the side of the studio. Now, these are the current images now over the U.S., guys. You can see we still have this flow coming out of the Gulf of America. Again, it's really creating the moisture, keeping the humidity up, and feeding into this line of storms. That's why they're saying, again, this could all repeat, all of this, because it has been for the last few days. Now, there's a lot of cloud cover in the northeast here. It's drying out in the west somewhat, and it's getting to be springtime. All of our trees are blooming out, things like that. The pollen is incredible on your sinuses. You know the procedures during the spring, especially here in the south, because of the humidity adds to it. But guys, let's look at the infrared just a moment. Now, again, you're starting to see this buildup right in this area. The tornadoes were just a little further north than this, and it's all going to be moving right through western Tennessee, coming up into Kentucky, and guys, Oklahoma. I talked about it yesterday. This is the time of the year where you start getting these record-breaking tornadoes, things like that. And we had the outbreak yesterday. I did a video when it was just beginning, but by the afternoon, guys, the tornadoes had spread much further north, and I think we're going to see a repeat of that. Don't forget about the amount of moisture that we're dealing with. And this filter is called the lower level water vapor, and you can see how it's concentrated. It's still feeding off the moisture coming out of the Gulf. You can see it feeding in here. But guys, right in here, it is concentrated here, up through the northeast. That's where you're kind of squeezing between cooler air here and warmer air here. So that's what they're talking about, this continuing train of moisture causing these generational floods. Now, the stock market is still bouncing at very low numbers. It had dropped below 15. It's at 1433, or minus that, minus 229 on the S&P. NASDAQ at 903. Now, what's happening, and they're right, they're saying it's going to cause a lot of pain for different people. Now, that may not be including you and I, because usually when you're dealing with the stock market, it's a party that we're not invited to, and it's really not attached any longer to the economy unless you are a major investor. And that's why they're complaining, and that's where the pain is going to come from. Why? Because we're seeing companies that work, say, in Vietnam and all, that make a lot of American name clothes, but they make them there, they make them much cheaper. Now, the stock market's crying. They're not crying about those people in Vietnam in these big factories. They are crying about their stock going down. They had put all their money into what would be called an anti-American fund. When you put it into foreign companies, because they can make it cheaper and send it here, then you are knocking out American jobs, American manufacturing. And you cause the stock market to it's going to continue to fall in the long run because of the tariffs, and the people are starting to wake up. So the investors are really crying, especially when you've got, well, let's take, for instance, Vietnam. Let's take a look at that. And it's very interesting. In the video yesterday late from the Rose Garden, you guys remember that was live, Trump held up a list of countries and the percentage of tariffs and all that. Now, Mexico and Canada was not on that list. That's kind of strange, but there's probably some dealings under the table we're not aware of yet. But to me, they are the most, those two countries, Mexico, the politicians in Canada, are the most responsible for the invasion that went on here, that's causing massive conflict, massive cost, and a lot of death and chaos. Anyway, let's take a look at what's happening in Vietnam and realize, I want you guys to think about it, where the pain is actually going to land. And you've got so many people in the U.S. in the party we're not a part of that's tied internationally that it's affecting the world. It says at the top in the red line, breaking European stocks closed 2.7% lower as key sectors are upended after Trump tariffs. Now, Stellantis is closing plants in Mexico and Canada, or they're going to, what they're calling, shutting them down temporarily, maybe, because of the tariffs. But again, there's something not quite right with that, or just something we don't understand. But the Trump's massive 46% Vietnam tariffs pummel Nike, American Eagle, and Wayfair, American supposed companies that are manufacturing overseas, destroying the American economy and our jobs, leaving us vulnerable to anything, especially when it comes to medicines and things like that. Who cares about Nike? I don't. Or any of these brands that are really much cheaper than they were supposed to be in the beginning, and they're taking away from American jobs. These companies and these stock market investors that are crying these libtard tears because they were doing very destructive things to the company, our country. But I understand that it was about profit. Sometimes you've got to put honor above profit, and your country and your fellow countrymen. It says this new 40% tariff on Vietnam could raise costs for major corporations in the apparel, furniture, and toy space, and some of them may hike prices for consumers. That's what they want you to think. We don't need any of their products, especially if they hike their prices, right? And that's what another thing they're crying about is people are not spending the money on unnecessary items because the past administration almost wiped the country out. And the CNBC was very complicit in a lot of the information we got out that was pro world trade and anti-American trade. Says the country became a popular alternative for companies trying to avoid the crossfire of U.S. trade tensions with Beijing. That has everything to do with it. So what does China do? They hire the companies in Vietnam, stick a Vietnam sticker on it, pay them, and get away from the tariffs and the trade deals. Again, crossfire. They were caught in this crossfire between U.S. trade and Beijing. And shares of businesses including Nike, American Eagle, Wayfair, Deckers, and Hasbro plunged today. The duties will hit companies at a time when many consumers have become value conscious and more selective about spending. Quit buying junk made overseas, including Hasbro toys. Get things that you need. The world's getting in trouble. So concentrate on not stupid items, but items that will keep your family alive when chaos comes to your town. The duties will hit companies, again, when consumers are becoming value conscious. That's what we're talking about here. It's all coming together at the same time. The countries there are going to be hurt. We're not going to be buying their product because no one's going to really be able to afford it now. What will that do? They will start manufacturing here in the good old USA, right? I'd love to see all of these companies here with American jobs, American made. I don't care if it's a Nike. We could call get a new USA made sneaker. Get new American Eagle type clothes made here, probably made a lot better. And shut down what's been going on with the presidents in the last several administrations is sell out America. It's time to suck up the pain, especially for these investors. It's not going to hurt you and I. It's just going to make us wiser, more conservative. And it's pointing out what's been going on. And that's a lot about what the present administration, is about, is exposure, then correction. And speaking of exposure and correction, the evil politicians have been exposed. Now, Trump, Kash Patel, you guys need to put the silver bracelets on a lot of people really quick because we're losing faith in what you promised us. You didn't do it the first term. It cost you your second. You need to do it this time and quit letting these demons get away with everything they want. You're patting them on the heads when you let him, Booker, bring in a guy with an armed guy with a weapon into the U.S. Capitol, snuck him around security. Remember the video a couple of days ago, guys? I don't even know if they're investigating it. No one's talking about that. It was pushed under the table. Maybe because it is under investigation. Something is not right. Why are the major players that were tearing this nation down not in jail? The only thing I saw yesterday was Fauci's wife got kicked out of the NIH. Well, big deal. Oh, you're really doing something there, Mr. Patel and the present administration. Why were they there in the first place since you've been in office? Now, I'm coming down. I'm a Trump supporter all the way around. I'm all about Doge. but I'm also about fairness and following the law. These people tried to kill us. They would have loved to hang the J6ers and all of us. If you're Christian, conservative, they hate you. They want you dead. But they're being allowed to walk free, hire these crazy judges, protest, bring guns into the Capitol or sneak a gunman into the Capitol. Nothing's happening to them. Enough's enough, guys. President administration, you better not let them get away with it this time, because all hell is going to break out when they come back in office. If they ever get back, I hope they don't. But you got to do something. It's not fair that you lock somebody up for a traffic ticket in this nation and you got these, demons getting away with murder. It's not right. It's not fair. And we're watching it. This is a heads up, guys. Be safe.